Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today, something that can change your whole life if you take it seriously. Every one of us wakes up with emotions. Anger, fear, doubt, hope, excitement, these things live with us every single day. But here's the truth most people never learn. If you don't master your emotions will master you. They'll run your life, ruin your decisions, and control your future without you even realizing it. Your emotions are signals, not instructions. Learn to pause before reacting. When you truly understand this, your whole life starts shifting in a powerful way. Most people think emotions are supposed to be obeyed immediately. If they feel angry, they lash out. If they feel afraid, they run away. If they feel sad, they stop trying. But emotions were never designed to be your master. They were designed to give you information about what's happening inside you. The problem is that we treat our feelings like orders instead of messages. And when you obey every emotion without thinking, you end up doing things you regret, saying things you never meant, and creating consequences that hurt your future. The greatest strength a person can develop is the ability to pause. Not a long pause, not a dramatic pause, just a moment where you stop and check in with yourself before you react. That pause is where wisdom lives. That pause is where maturity shows up. That pause is where the difference between regret and respect is created. When something triggers you, your first feeling is usually the loudest and the least accurate. That feeling might tell you they don't respect you, or you're not good enough, or you should give up. But if you pause long enough to breathe, your mind gets a chance to catch up. You start thinking instead of reacting. You start separating facts from assumptions. You start seeing the situation through clarity instead of emotion. Emotions happen fast, but wisdom takes a moment. And if you never give yourself that moment, you never give wisdom a chance to guide you. Think about how many arguments could be avoided if people paused before they reacted. Think about how many relationships could be saved if people didn't let temporary emotions speak permanent words. Think about how many opportunities would still exist if people didn't quit during an emotional low. The pause is where emotional maturity is built. It teaches you that you don't have to move with every feeling. You don't have to act on every impulse. You don't have to let the emotion of the moment decide the direction of your life. Strong people are not people who never feel. Strong people are those who don't surrender to every feeling. When you learn to pause, something amazing happens. Your emotions start to work for you instead of against you. Anger becomes a signal that something is crossing your boundaries. Fear becomes a signal that something matters deeply to you. Frustration becomes a signal that you need to adjust your approach. Sadness becomes a signal that your heart needs care, not judgment. The pause allows you to hear the real message behind the emotion instead of reacting to the noise. And once you understand the message, you gain control over your response. That's where real power begins. In that space between feeling and reacting, you get to choose who you want to be. You get to decide how you want to show up. You get to choose whether you want to escalate the problem or elevate yourself. Most people don't realize that their reaction is their responsibility. Not everything deserves your anger. Not everything deserves your energy. Not everything deserves an immediate response. The more you pause, the more control you have, not just over the situation, but over yourself. Life becomes clearer when you stop letting your emotions push you around. You begin making decisions based on purpose, not pressure. You start responding with intention, not impulse. And over time, people start respecting you more, trusting you more, and listening to you more, because emotional control is a sign of leadership. Master the pause, and you master the moment. Master the moment, and you master your life. Anger, fear, and doubt only control you when you act without thinking. These emotions are natural, and every human being experiences them, But the real danger comes when you allow them to make decisions for you. Anger flares up quickly, fear whispers lies into your mind, and doubt tries to convince you that you're not capable of achieving the things you dream about. None of these emotions are permanent, but the actions you take them can create long-lasting damage. When you react instantly, without pausing to think, you hand over your power to the very emotions that are trying to overwhelm you. And the truth is, emotions are terrible decision makers. They magnify small problems and make them look enormous. They twist the meaning of events and make you assume the worst. They make you say things you don't truly mean or walk away from opportunities you've worked hard for. Acting without thinking turns emotions into your master instead of your messenger. The moment you start reacting mindlessly to anger, you lose control. Anger tries to convince you that exploding will solve the problem, but all it does is create more chaos. It destroys trust, damages relationships, and leaves you with regret once the emotion settles. Fear is just as powerful. It tells you to stay where you are, to avoid taking risks, to not even try because you might fail. But fear only wins when you respond to it immediately. If you let fear speak for you, you'll stay stuck in the same place for years, watching others move ahead while you talk yourself out of your own potential. And doubt, perhaps the most silent of all, slowly eats away at your confidence. It makes you question your abilities, your decisions, your dreams. Doubt doesn't shout, it whispers. And if you don't take a moment to think, you'll listen to those whispers and allow them to shrink your life. These emotions only take full control when you respond automatically. But when you slow down and think before acting, you take the power back. You can ask yourself simple questions. Is this anger justified? Is this fear real or imagined? Is this doubt based on facts or insecurity? The moment you begin questioning your emotions, they lose their grip. They no longer dictate your actions. You start seeing clearly instead of reacting blindly. Thinking creates space, and that space allows you to choose a better response, one that aligns with your goals and values instead of your impulses. Many people believe that strong emotions require immediate reactions, but true strength lies in restraint. When you feel anger rising and choose to breathe instead of explode, that's power. When fear tries to paralyze you and you choose to move forward anyway, that's courage. When doubt tries to shrink your confidence and you choose to believe in yourself, that's self-mastery. Thinking before reacting doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It means you're not letting the motion of the moment sabotage the progress of your future. When you train yourself to pause and reflect, your decisions become smarter, calmer, and more intentional. You stop burning bridges in anger. You stop missing opportunities out of fear. You stop disqualifying yourself because of doubt. You begin to act from a place of clarity instead of chaos. Emotional reactions are temporary, but the damage they leave behind can last a long time. On the other hand, thoughtful responses create stability, confidence, and growth. They help you build stronger relationships, better habits, and a more peaceful mindset. The key is to remember that your emotions are not the enemy. They're simply signals pointing toward unresolved issues, unmet needs, or important areas of growth. But they must never become the driver of your actions. When you think before responding, you reclaim control of your life. You stop letting emotions dictate your decisions, and instead you allow your wisdom, purpose, and vision to lead the way. That is how you prevent anger, fear, and doubt from controlling you, and how you step into the strongest, most grounded version of yourself. Emotional control protects relationships, opportunities, and long-term success. And most people don't realize just how deeply their reactions shape the direction of their lives. Every connection you have, family, friends, coworkers, loved ones, depends on how you manage your emotions in moments of tension, stress, or disappointment. One emotional outburst can damage trust, that took years to build. One reaction made in anger can create distance that is hard to repair. One moment of fear-based hesitation can make you miss an opportunity that may never come again. People often think success comes from talent, skills, or confidence. But what truly protects your future is your ability to stay calm when everything around you feels heavy. When you control your emotions, you create the kind of environment where people feel safe, respected, and understood. And when others feel that from you, your relationships grow stronger, your influence grows deeper, and your path becomes clearer. Think about the moments when things go wrong. Someone says something hurtful, a plan falls apart, a mistake happens, or someone doesn't treat you the way you expected. Your first emotional reaction might be anger or frustration. But if you allow that reaction to run wild, you might say something you can't take back. You might shut someone out who genuinely cares about you. You might escalate a situation that could have been solved with patience. Relationships don't break in one day. They break in these small emotional moments where people choose reaction over understanding. Emotional control gives you the ability to choose understanding, to step back, and to respond from a place of clarity instead of chaos. It allows you to see that not every situation deserves a big reaction, and not every comment requires a fight. Sometimes the most powerful response is to stay calm. Opportunities are also deeply affected by the way you manage your emotions. Life will test you with stress, setbacks, and unexpected obstacles. If you panic easily or give up when emotions rise, you lose chances that were meant for you. Anger can make you walk away too soon. Fear can stop you from raising your hand when it matters. Impatience can make you give up just before the breakthrough. The world rewards people who can stay steady when things get tough. Employers notice it. Leaders notice it. Even life itself seems to open more doors for people who don't fall apart at the slightest challenge. Emotional control makes you reliable, not only to others, but also to yourself. You become someone who can handle pressure without losing focus, who can deal with disappointment without losing heart, and who can face problems without letting emotions cloud judgment. Long-term success is built on consistency, discipline, and resilience, qualities that require emotional control. You cannot stay consistent if you let every mood dictate your actions. You cannot stay disciplined if you let emotions decide when you work and when you quit. You cannot become resilient if you break every time something goes wrong. Emotional control allows you to think long-term instead of reacting short-term. It helps you remember your goals when temporary feelings try to pull you off track. It pushes you to stay committed on the days when motivation is low, confidence is shaking, or everything feels harder than it should. Success is not built on how you feel in the moment. It's built on how you act despite the moment. People who master emotional control don't avoid emotions. They understand them, manage them, and rise above them. They protect their relationships by responding with patience and empathy. They protect their opportunities by staying focused under pressure. And they protect their long-term success by staying committed regardless of emotional ups and downs. When you learn to control your emotions, you protect every area of your life because you stop letting temporary feelings destroy permanent blessings. You become steady in a world full of impulsive reactions, and that steadiness becomes your greatest strength. Understanding your emotions helps you respond wisely instead of reacting blindly, and this single skill can completely transform the quality of your life. Most people never take time to understand why they feel what they feel. They assume anger means someone disrespected them, fear means they should run away, and sadness means something is permanently wrong. But emotions are far more complex than that. Every emotion carries a message, and until you slow down and listen to that message, you will keep reacting to the surface instead of addressing the real issue underneath. When you understand an emotion, you gain power over it. When you don't understand it, the emotion controls you because you're responding out of confusion rather than clarity. Every emotion has a root. Anger is often rooted in pain, fear is rooted in uncertainty, and sadness is rooted in loss or unmet expectations. When you react without thinking, you respond to the emotion but not the root. You might lash out when what you really feel is hurt. You might hide when what you really need is preparation. You might shut down when what you really need is rest. Understanding gives you the ability to act intelligently instead of emotionally. It creates a moment where you can say, "What is this feeling trying to tell me?" instead of immediately exploding, withdrawing, or giving up. That moment of reflection becomes the difference between a wise response and a blind reaction that you will regret later. When you take time to understand your emotions, you also discover patterns in your behavior. You begin to notice what triggers you, what exhausts you, what motivates you, and what drains you. This awareness helps you create healthier boundaries, manage stress better, and protect your mental space. It helps you see that not all anger is bad. Sometimes it's a sign someone crossed your limit. Not all fear is weakness. Sometimes it's a signal that you need more preparation. Not all sadness is a setback. Sometimes it's your heart telling you to slow down and process what's happening inside you. The moment you understand the true meaning of an emotion, you stop treating it like an enemy and start using it as information. Understanding your emotions also improves your relationships. When you don't understand why you're upset, you expect others to read your mind. When you don't understand your triggers, you blame people for things they didn't actually do. When you don't recognize the roots of your reactions, you project your internal struggles onto people who care about you. But when you understand your feelings, you communicate better, you listen more deeply, and you respond more calmly. You become aware of what you need and how to express it without hurting others. You stop reacting in ways that push people away and start responding in ways that build connection and trust. This understanding is not just emotional, it's strategic. It helps you make better decisions in high-pressure situations. When you know what you're feeling and why, you think more clearly. You avoid making impulsive choices. You avoid quitting in moments of temporary frustration. You avoid saying things that damage your long-term goals. You give yourself time to consider the consequences of your actions instead of letting emotions hijack your logic. The wisest decisions are made by people who understand the emotional landscape of their mind and don't let momentary feelings cloud their long-term vision. People who understand their emotions live with a different level of control. They are not thrown off by every difficult conversation, every disappointment, or every unexpected challenge. They feel the emotion, study it, understand its meaning, and then choose the smartest response. This creates a life filled with fewer regrets, more inner peace, and stronger emotional discipline. Understanding your emotions is not about suppressing them. It's about mastering them. And once you master them, you stop reacting blindly and start responding with purpose, clarity, and strength. Peace, patience, and discipline are the foundations of emotional mastery. And without these three things working together, your emotions will pull you in every direction. Peace keeps you centered, patience keeps you steady, and discipline keeps you moving forward even when your feelings try to stop you. Most people let their emotions build storms inside their minds, and because they lack peace. Every small problem feels bigger than it actually is. Peace doesn't mean you never feel stress or pressure. It means you don't allow that pressure to control your reactions. It means you choose calm even when life is chaotic. When you have inner peace, you're able to see situations clearly instead of through the fog of emotion. You don't get pulled into unnecessary arguments. You don't let negativity consume your thoughts. And you don't allow temporary problems to destroy your long-term focus. And patience is another powerful part of emotional mastery because emotions often push you to react quickly. Anger makes you want to respond instantly. Fear makes you want to run immediately, and frustration makes you want to quit right away. But patience creates space between feeling and action. It gives you time to breathe, time to understand, and time to choose a better response. Many people ruin relationships because they speak before thinking. Many people lose opportunities because they give up too fast. Many people damage their progress because they want results instantly and lose motivation when things don't happen in their expected timeline. Patience protects you from these emotional traps. It teaches you that not everything needs an immediate reaction. Not every emotion deserves your energy, and not every situation requires urgency. When you develop patience, you build emotional strength that helps you handle challenges with wisdom instead of panic. Discipline ties everything together. Without discipline, peace becomes temporary and patience becomes inconsistent. Discipline is what allows you to choose the right action, even when your emotions push you toward the wrong one. It helps you wake up early even when you feel tired. It helps you keep working even when motivation disappears. It helps you stay focused on your goals, even when doubt tries to distract you. Emotions shift constantly. Some days you feel confident, other days you feel unsure. Some days you feel energized, other days you feel drained. But discipline keeps you moving no matter what emotional wave comes your way. It keeps you steady when your emotions are unstable. It keeps you consistent when your feelings are inconsistent. And it helps you build the kind of life that emotions alone can never create. When peace, patience, and discipline work together, your emotional life becomes stronger, calmer, and more intentional. You no longer get overwhelmed by small problems because peace protects your mind. You no longer rush into bad decisions because patience keeps you grounded. You no longer let your feelings control your actions because discipline keeps you aligned with your goals. This trio gives you a level of emotional control that not only helps you navigate challenges, but also helps you build a future based on clarity instead of chaos. People who master these three qualities are not emotionless. They simply don't let emotions dictate their behavior. They feel deeply but respond wisely. They get hurt, but they don't let pain make decisions for them. They experience fear, but they don't let fear stop their progress. They face stress, but they don't let stress break their spirit. Peace gives them strength, patience gives them stability, and discipline gives them direction. When you build peace, patience, and discipline into your life, you become incredibly difficult to shake. You become someone who can think clearly under pressure, someone who can wait for the right moment, and someone who can keep going even when emotions try to pull you back. This is what emotional mastery looks like. It's not about eliminating emotions. It's about becoming stronger than your emotions. And once you develop these three qualities, your emotions will no longer control you. You will control them. When you control your reactions, no one can control your life because your reactions are the gateway through which people, situations, and emotions either gain power over you or lose it completely. Most of the time, it isn't what people do to you that causes the real damage. It's how you respond to it. Two people can face the exact same situation, yet one falls apart while the other rises above it. The difference isn't the challenge, it's the reaction. When you let someone's words instantly upset you, you give them power. When you let a problem make you panic, you give the situation control. When you let fear stop you from moving forward, you hand over your future to an emotion that only exists in your mind. But when you master your reactions, nothing and no one can dictate the direction of your life. You become responsible for your peace, your decisions, and your growth. Reactions are the invisible force shaping your relationships, opportunities, and reputation. A moment of anger can destroy trust. A moment of fear can make you miss an opportunity. A moment of doubt can stop you from taking a step that could have changed your entire life. People often say things like, they made me angry, or they ruined my day, or they stressed me out. But the truth is that no one can make you feel anything unless you allow your reaction to be controlled by them. Your reaction is your responsibility. You cannot control what others say or do, but you can always choose how you respond, and that choice determines whether you remain in control of your life or hand it over to circumstances. When you learn to control your reactions, you think before you speak, you pause before you respond, and you breathe before you panic. You give yourself the chance to process the situation instead of letting emotions run the show. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It means you manage them wisely. Instead of reacting instantly, you respond intentionally. You begin to understand that not everything deserves your energy, not every comment deserves your attention, and not every challenge deserves your panic. This level of emotional distance, people separate who struggle from people who succeed. It separates people who are easily manipulated from people who stay unshakable. Controlling your reactions also protects your mental and emotional well-being. When you let everything bother you, you live in a constant state of stress and exhaustion. But when you learn to let go of things that don't matter, you create space for peace. When you stop reacting to negativity, you stop feeding it. When you stop responding to drama, you starve it. When you stop allowing people to push your buttons, those buttons lose their power. Your life becomes calmer, clearer, and more stable. You become the kind of person who doesn't break easily, who doesn't get thrown off balance by small problems, and who doesn't allow temporary emotions to destroy long-term goals. This control also shapes the way others see you. People respect those who stay calm under pressure. They trust those who don't overact. They admire those who remain steady even in chaos. Opportunities often go to people who can handle stress without falling apart, and relationships thrive when reactions are rooted in understanding rather than impulse. When you control your reactions, you become someone others can rely on, someone who can listen, think, and respond with clarity. You build a reputation of strength, wisdom, and emotional maturity. The greatest freedom in life comes from being able to choose your reaction instead of letting the world choose it for you. When you control your reactions, you protect your happiness, your peace, your goals, and your future. No one can pull you into negativity. No one can push you into fear. And no one can distract you from your purpose. You become guided by intention instead of emotion, by clarity instead of chaos. And that is when you step into the most powerful version of yourself, the version that leads your life instead of being led by everything around you.